So what were your initial sentiments when the case was brought to your table?
I knew about the story was all over the news. So I knew about what happened. And, the main thing Merrill, I don't know if you remember it this way, but one of the big focus in the news media in the United States was the fact that the Navy SEALs came in and eliminated 3 of the 4 pirates. Like that was a cool part of the story. Everybody's really interested in that. Obama ordered them to go save these people. That was really what my focus was more about when I get the first call in the case. But of course, as a lawyer, one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is when I investigate a case, I do it very, very thoroughly. And as soon as we started looking into this case, it became apparent very, very quickly that Maersk and Captain Phillips had made some really bad decisions, and they had made those decisions on purpose, and they made those decisions for a very specific reason, and that was to save money. Basically, they were trying to take a shortcut to save money on fuel. So that became obvious really, really quickly. And the fight ultimately ended up being about what information I was allowed to look at and what information they were allowed to hide. Because when you go overseas, there's all sorts of regulations, particularly you have to have something called a vessel security plan. And they wouldn't let me see that. There was a bunch of other, and there's also, I can just tell you, there's a lot of stuff that I'm still under a confidentiality order that I can't talk about. But there was all these interesting rumors about what happened. So for instance, I'll give you one interesting rumor. The ship carried $30,000 roughly in cash, just as a matter of course, and nobody ever found it. We have no idea what happened to that money. There's some suspicions, and there was rumors that some of the Navy SEALs took it. And there was a whole investigation. I think there was a DOD investigation. Nothing ever came of that, but where'd it go? So that was a little interesting piece of the deal. The other thing that was interesting is, as I'm sure you both can imagine, the birth records in Somalia are not very reliable. And so the one surviving pirate who's in federal prison right now, being charged, I think he got convicted of piracy. It was the first piracy conviction in over 100 years. But they didn't know for sure whether he was an adult or not. They still don't. Like, he could have been 16, he could have been 22. They just have no records at all to prove how old he was. So,
goodness.
Yeah, that was another interesting part of the case. But there was all these little, little weird things that went on that was like, the money's gone. Why are we so close to the shore? Like, what are we doing here? I mean, we've been told not to do this. Like, why? What's motivating this?